Hello again. So my new chassis has arrived. It's a green hard chassis. I did paint it. I painted navy blue. I'm going to be painting the body of the car. It's a Red Bull. So the chassis needs to be painted a dark blue. I chose navy blue. But it is the green chassis. There's the little green color. Just a fresh paint job, navy blue. Now the new chassis does not come with the new magnet. So you're going to have to pull the magnet out of the original car or get a new magnet to put in. And I've already installed a new magnet. So it is ready to start being set up, which means this car is going to have to be completely taken apart, all the components off of it transferred over to the new chassis, and I have the new digital chip to be installed in the chassis. That digital chip will set right here. And we will be doing all of those steps right now. So we're going to start by taking the car apart. Okay. 2 body screws. We'll set the body aside. We're going to be leaving the plain white body for quite a while, doing all the testing. Not until the car is completely finished, ready to race, that we'll go through the procedures of spray painting the body and putting the Red Bull decals on. So all the tires, wheels are held on with 440 grub screws, both front and rear. There we go. Car is completely disassembled. It's the basic stock chassis. I'm going to leave that magnet in. There might be a case in the future that I might want to use this soft chassis. As you see, it's quite flexible compared to our new extra hard chassis. It is not flexible. It is quite stiff. So that should eliminate our drag completely. So there's all the pieces of the car. Well, we still got the small set screws to take out. I possibly could find new ones, leave these in the axles, I'll leave these in the chassis rather. But I think I'll just take them out and use them on the other chassis. There you go. Completely stripped. Ready to start putting all the items back on the new chassis. I am going to turn the tires prior to reinstalling them. I'm going to turn them down, both front and rear. Considering at this point, I know I don't want to spend a lot of money during the initial setups, considering putting the new wheels on, just because the advertised size is different than the size actually installed from the factory. So I think I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the rear tires to the correct size. Thought I should show this while I got the chassis completely stripped. Nothing on it. I put the set screws in for the front axle and the set screws for the wing, but that's all I've done to the chassis so far as assembling it. Just wanted to show how perfectly flat it sits on this block. Every part about it is perfectly flat sitting on the block. Look at that tiny amount of daylight right there. Okay, I need the lead wires off the motor, so I'm going to desolder them now so I can use them on the new chassis. Connect them to the digital chip. I'll be replacing the wires that it came with these NSR wires. They're much better wires. That was easy enough. One of the very inexpensive upgrades is these push-in rivets that you use to push into the guide to hold the wire in. Can be easily upgraded to an M2, I think that's M2 by 3 set screw. This is the same set screw that's used in the front axles. Very inexpensive. A bundle of 10 of them is $1 or $2. And what you do is you put the wire in, and instead of pushing a rivet in, you can actually screw the screw in for a more secure fit. More than once have I had a car stop on the track because the push rivet, this little push rivet, just works its way loose, and you lose contact with the motor and your car just stops. But using this set screw, there's no way it's going to come loose. No way that set screw is going to back out. So that's a very inexpensive upgrade. I'm going to do it because it's not considered a cost item. I say 10 of them is a couple of dollars. There you can see I have both my wires inserted into the guide. Now we're using the stock guide. I do have racing guide for later. Now everything, try to keep it stock box car. And I just screw that set screw until it's even with the top. Definitely don't want to come out the bottom. And there are short set screws and long ones. These are the shorter ones. I do believe that's a 2mm by 3 length. And I just screw that in until it's about even with the top. And that holds my wires in. There's no way that's going to vibrate loose. So NSR provides some really nice wire management, and I am going to be using that to the full effect, using all the channels coming straight down, and this will be the back side of the chip where these wires will come up into the chip. So there's wire management here, wire management here, wire management here. I'll be using all 3 of those. I also like to put some super glue to actually hold the wire in, as I do crash quite a lot, and crashes will cause the wires to come out, and you have to take the body off, put the wires back, so on. So I am going to be putting drops of super glue under the wire just to ensure the wire stays put where I want it. Well, I do doing that after I trim the wires, get them attached to the circuit card. Also, this loop up front is a self-centering guide. So when your car comes off the track, you have a crash, spin out, guides that way in the track. Marshall picks it up, the guide self-centers pretty much back. That's the purpose of the loops, is to keep them self-centered. Also have to push them down a little bit. You put the body on. You see the front, I guess you would call this the suspension components, the body suspension components. Not actually suspension, just they're for looks, but don't really want the wires touching any part of the body. I want the body to be able to set freely on the car. So I put those loops and then press the wires down so it sets underneath these bars, suspension bars on the body. So that's where I want to mount the chip. I just set the body on, and the driver is touching on that capacitor on the chip. And that big capacitor right there, bottom of the driver is hitting it. Now, I did see on the new larger chips that this capacitor is gone. It's all transistorized. But still on these small IndyCar, Formula One car chips, the capacitor's there, so I'm going to have to do something to the bottom of the driver. Cut part of him away. I'm hoping it doesn't loosen, and yep. So I will have to do something to provide clearance, because he is definitely touching that capacitor. Can't move it back any further because that's where the rear pod's going to mount. So I have to keep that open right there. Yep, he touches right here, right underneath his legs. We'll have to make an indent for it and make sure the driver gets glued back in good, because I'll end up cutting this hot weld away, and that will probably free the driver, which might be good for the paint job. I am going to be painting the driver to match his Red Bull colors. So maybe removing the driver at this point is not a bad idea. He definitely got to be moved to get this chip in place. The other concern is the little ferret man. He's supposed to go in between the contacts and the chip. So I'll be moving this ferret man all the way back up to the chip, and then connecting the red and yellow, green and yellow wires to the two white wires.